It's a very personal film, painted, I hope, on a big epic canvas. But growing up here in London at school, I grew up with two narratives on partition. One, what I'd been taught history in school was that in 1947 the British had decided to hand India back, and Mountbatten had gone to India to give India back her freedom, but we started fighting with each other, and as a result he had no choice but to divide the country. So somehow partition was our shameful fault, and that's why not a lot of people talk about it. On the other hand, my mum has always said that growing up in Rawalpindi as she did, she had Muslim friends, Hindu friends, Sikh friends, Christian friends. Everybody lived happily side by side, and somehow overnight things changed. And she's always said it was these mischievous English did some kind of black magic on us. So these were the two double narratives that I had grown up with.
And in a sense, the film challenges both, doesn't it? It says there was calculation in the partition of India,
yes,
but there were existing tensions and brutality between peoples in the country that were then exposed.
But the overriding point for me was in doing the research I did for the film, I came across documents in this novel that are in the British Library that suggest a very different narrative, and that rather than partition being a reaction to what was going on, it was actually premeditative, it was organised, it was planned under Churchill in 1945, post-war, as the world was taking new shape and Britain and America were very nervous of the Soviet Union, of Stalin in particular, and his views to expand the Soviet Union, and what might happen in a scenario where Britain no longer had the jewel in the crown, India, what would happen to Asia.
So crudely, the theory was that Churchill was worried of a sort of socialist-leaning India, and therefore backed Jinnah in Pakistan in terms of separate Muslim country, in the hope that some influence was retained there.
Well, yes, they were nervous of India being too closely aligned to the Soviet position. And so by creating a separate enclave, an annexed country, they had a strategic and military and economic base.
Now, this film is no documentary, and it's not trying to be. It's a powerful human story, both of the people in charge in Viceroy's house, Mountbatten and his wife, of course, but also two of their servants, a human story of a Hindu boy and a Muslim girl and the love that they have for each other.
Well, it was important for me to tell that political story, but at the same time to talk about the people's partition and how these decisions, these, if you like, geopolitical decisions of that time, how they affected ordinary people, ordinary Indians, the servants downstairs. So that was an integral part of the storytelling for me. And I think it's important to say that this is the first film that's been made on the subject, first British film that's been made since Gandhi, which was 35 years ago. And this film is very, very uniquely a British Asian perspective on history.
It is, and of course, as I said, the credits end with a photograph.
Oh, you're at spoiler alert.
Transforms. Oh, I don't know, this is a spoiler. But in other words, it reveals there's a reminder that this is a personal story for you.
Absolutely. Now, and therefore history, as I open the film, I say history is written by the victors.
Yeah. Why didn't you just briefly, if you wouldn't mind, make a film of your family story rather than this grander narrative?
Well, I think I have made a film about my family story. It's just I didn't want to make a film just about one particular family suffering in that way. I wanted to show you politically how partition was a political act and the resonance for that today. The idea of the politics of hate and division growing around our world, it is mirrored in what happened in 1947 India.